Let us continue with our next topic in audit and compliance. And what we are going to study today is basically regulatory and external compliance. So these are basically certain laws that need to be followed by a cloud service provider in a cloud computing environment. So there are various laws related to cloud. Specifically, you have HITECH, HIPAA, ISO. We'll be studying about this in today's session. So some are related to the health issues, some are related to the framework that need to be followed, and some are related to the security policies. Let us see about them in today's session. So regulatory and external compliance basically, CSP basically faces an increasingly complex array of external compliance requirements, and basically these are from the customers, and whether they are related to basically industry standards or regulatory regimes or customer specific frameworks. But it is going to be basically very complex array of compliance for the CSP to follow. So these requirements are basically based on or refer to the industry standards. Industry has decided on to some of the standards that need to be followed by the CSP, and also some for the client who basically work along with the CSP. So you can see in the diagram, these are some of the standards that are followed. It is focused on HIPAA, ITIL, some of the things we have studied. ITIL we have studied previously. It is related to CMM, which you studied into software project management. It has NIST, it has ANSI, it has SysTrust. Some among them we will be studying today. We will be studying about COBIT and HIPAA today. So many of the IT standards basically have a specific area of focus, and the focus area basically is related to overall control environment or the company level controls. It is related to the information security. It is related to IT service delivery and operations. It is related to the development of the system. It is basically related to reporting systems of the finance, that is termed as financial reporting system, and then related to some specific technology. So these are the specific focus areas for which the standards are related. Now the nature of individual standards can generally be characterized based on certain factors, and those factors are best practice guidance. The best practice concepts needs to be followed, and they need to be obeyed basically under best practice guidance. Then you have the certification, audit criteria and the requirements. So certification is a concept where after following certain regulations and compliances, the certification is awarded. Like you have ISO certificates, various ISO certificates are there, and then there are certain audit criteria. Basically we have seen external audit and internal audit, and then certain requirements that need to be met. So this basically comes under this category. Then regulatory and industry standards, basically where certain industry standards are decided and followed, and they need to be complied also with. And then we have the audit frameworks. So these are some of the individual standards that need to be followed. Now these are certain high level roadmap. Basically this is divided into a vertical and horizontal standards. Like on the vertical side you have the control environment and the company level controls. So like for example you have COBIT, we'll be studying about COBIT. So then you have the information security. There are various standards for information security, like you can see in the table you have ISO 27002. This is also one of the best practice guidance, and you also have COSO under this. And then you have the IT service delivery and the operations. Under that you have the ITIL, and also about ISO 2000, that is the second version of 200, that is literally 20,000, but it is actually specified as ISO 20000. And then you have the system development. Under that you have the CMM, that is capability maturity model, and then you have the ISO 21827, and then for the financial reporting system you have the ITGI, that is SOX, and then specific technologies or incremental requirement you basically have various ISO, ANSI and NIST. Then the certification audit criteria requirements, you basically have ISO 27001, and for information security it is also applicable, and then also you have IT service delivery and operations, you basically have ISO 27000-1. So this is the regulatory and industry standards. Under that we'll be studying, as I said, HIPAA you have, FFIEC you basically have HITRUST, that is HITRUST. Then you have the NIST, you have PCI, Payment Card Industry, and then you have ISO, that is 2700X. And under financial reporting you have the SOX and PCAOB. Some of the standards are basically discussed in the book. And specific technology and incremental requirements you have EV/SSL. So these are some of the high level standards. Basically a roadmap is specified in the table. Then you have the audit framework. Under that you have the control, environment and company level controls. That you have is the SAS 70, SysTrust, WebTrust and BITS-FISAP, that is FISAP. And financial reporting system you basically have PCAOB, and then you have the WebTrust, CA, WebTrust EV and GAPP, that's termed as GAPP. So these are some of the high level standards. Basic roadmap is discussed in the book. Now let us see about HIPAA. HIPAA is basically related to privacy and security information of the US citizens, and specifically related to the health information. So this act was basically formed in 1996, and it is known as Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, and this is basically required basically or designed by the Secretary of the US Department of Health and Human Services, that is termed as HHS, and this was basically to develop regulations for protecting the privacy and security of health information specifically related to certain diseases and all, basically focusing on the health information. So the privacy rule and the standards of privacy of individual identifiable health information, that is also termed as PHI, personally identifiable health information, and establishes national standards basically for the protection of certain health information. Everybody's health information needs to be private, so that is where it needs to be secure. So that basically comes under HIPAA. Then entities that process certain protected health information, that is termed as PHI, and they are required to comply with the security and the privacy requirements that are basically established in the support of HIPAA. Then you have the HIPAA health security and privacy rule basically focuses on various factors, like you have health plans, healthcare clearing houses, you have healthcare providers and system vendors. So these are basically the focus areas for HIPAA security and privacy rules. Now there are certain various topics that are addressed by the HIPAA security standard. Let us say it is just a listing, and no major discussion is done in the textbook also, but by the name you can understand. So under administrative safeguards you basically have security management process, which basically focuses on various security processes like analyzing the risk and managing the risk, that is under risk assessment and risk analysis and risk management. Then you have the sanction policy, certain policies are designed for sanctioning the funds, and then you have the information system security review. So the information systems activity review has to be done. It is basically going to review the different activities that are performed under those particular tasks. Then you have the assigned security responsibility. Under that you basically have workforce security, and you have the authorization and on supervision. Basically who is going to authorize, what are the authorization processes, and what is the supervision, that is basically related to some kind of monitoring. Then you have the workflow clearance procedure, and then you have the termination procedure. What is basically the steps that are followed in the workflow, that is the workflow clearance procedure, and then what is the termination procedure, how to terminate the specific procedure. Then you have the information access management, that basically focuses on isolation of healthcare, clearing house functions, and then you have access authorizations, and then you have access establishment and modification, focusing on authorization, access establishment and modification, and also focuses on isolation of healthcare clearing house function. So there are also assigned security responsibility related to the security reminders. Certain reminders need to be set. Then protection from malicious software. At times there are some softwares which are malicious, which can rob the information and send data to someone else. So you need to protect from the malicious softwares. Login monitoring needs to be done. Who has logged in, when they have logged in, what all activities they have done. That basically comes under monitoring task, which is very important. And then you have the password management. So these are all basically under security awareness and training. And then you have the security incident procedures. Basically at times when the security is breached, so that is where the incident actually happens. So incident response procedures also have to be designed. So you have the response and reporting, how to handle the situation, how to generate the reports. And then you have the contingency plan. Under that you have various backup plans and recovery plans. Basically at times you have to manage the backup and recovery because you lose the data. So that basically is coming under data backup plan. Then you have the disaster recovery plan. Then you have the emergency mode operation plan. Then you have the testing and revision procedure, and then applications and data critically analysis. So sometimes some data need to be critically analyzed. So that is basically application and data critically analysis. Then you have the evaluation system. As I said, this is one of the topics that are addressed under HIPAA security standards. Then you have the business associate contracts and other arrangements that need to be made. Written contract and other arrangements, they need to be evaluated. What are the written contracts and how they are managed and arranged. Then you have the physical safeguard. Under that you have the facility access control. You have the contingency operations. You have the facility security plans. You have access control and validation procedure. You have maintenance records. You have the workstation use, workstation security, device and media control. So at times you need to focus on what sort of workstations are compromised, what sort of workstations are used, what is the security, what are the devices that are followed, and what are the media controls that need to be followed. So under that you have the disposable media reuse, and then accountability and data backup and storage, how the data has been taken as a backup and how it has been stored. Then there are certain technical safeguards also under topics that are addressed under HIPAA security standards, like you have the access control. Under that you have the unique user identification, emergency access procedures, automatic log off, and then encryption and decryption. Certain sensitive data needs to be encrypted, and when they are being processed they need to be decrypted. Then if at all there is any automatic log off, what is the reason for that? What are the steps to be taken? And then you have the emergency access procedure. At times there are certain emergencies, how do you access the data and what is the emergency access procedure? And then unique user identifier. Every user is given a unique ID to identify, the system will basically identify the user based on the ID. Then you have the audit controls and the integrity. These are basically mechanisms to authenticate the electronic PHI, and then you have the person or entity authentication transmission security. Under that you have the integrity controls and encryption. Integrity is basically related to the data is to be modified only by the authorized person. If at all there is modified by some unauthorized person, it needs to be identified. So these are some of the summary of the HIPAA privacy standards. You can just have a look at it. These are very much related to what of the things we have studied. Like you have the use of disclosure of PHI, these are termed as general rules. Then you have the use and disclosure of organizational requirements. Then you basically have consent for rules, consent for the rules of the users, and the disclosure to carry out treatment, payment and healthcare operations. You basically have users and disclosure of which an unauthorized or authorization basically is required, or basically unauthorized person should not be able to access it. Then you have the uses and disclosure requiring an opportunity of the individual to agree or to object. So the individual person can agree or he can object basically. Then you have the uses and disclosure for which consent, an authorization or an opportunity to agree on which or object is not required. So at times certain disclosures which are basically already taken with consent, so at times an authorization and or an opportunity to agree or object is not basically required once the consent is already taken. Then you basically have other procedure requirements relating to the uses and disclosure of PHI, notice of privacy practices of PHI, which are the different privacy practices for the PHI, rights to request privacy protection to PHI, access to individuals to the PHI, how the individuals can basically access the PHI information, then amendment of PHI, if at all any amendments or changes are required, what are the amendments for the PHI, accounting of disclosure of the PHI, and then administrative requirements and transition requirements. So these are some of the summary of the HIPAA privacy standards. So let us see about COVID after this, but let us see the cloud computing impact of HIPAA. So the HIPAA security and privacy rule emphasis basically on health organization. These are basically the covered entities obligations to ensure that individually identifiable information, which is termed as PHI, is adequately protected when entrusted to business associates. Example, basically the third party service providers involvement is basically need to be considered under the cloud computing impact. Also the CSV processes or the stores individually PHI, that is identifiable health information on behalf of the entities which are basically subject to PHI. PHI is basically subject to HIPAA, and the HIPAA security and privacy requirements apply for the information that is stored on the cloud service providers infrastructure. So regulations regarding the protection of health information and breach notification requirements are under in support development. These are basically under development and in support of 2009, that was basically formed a little 11 years back, Health Information Technology for Economic and Clinical Health HITECH, that is termed as HITECH Act, which we will be studying in the later sessions. Now this is it related to COVID. COVID basically stands for Control Objective for Information and Related Technology. So COVID is basically an governance framework, IT governance framework and supporting tool set that allows managers to bridge the gap between the control requirements, technical issues and business risk. So COVID basically enables clear policy development. The development of the policies are very clear and the good practices are basically followed for IT control throughout the organizations. COVID basically emphasis on regulatory compliance. It basically helps organizations to increase the value attained from it, and then you have the it basically enables alignment and simplifies implementation of COVID framework. So basically it focuses on regulatory compliance and it helps the organization to increase the value that is attained from the IT. It also enables alignment with the guidelines and simplifies the implementation of the COVID framework. So the cloud computing impact of COVID basically has been used in the past as a basis for formulating the baseline of the control definitions. So it forms as a baseline basically for control definitions, and COVID has been mapped with the following standards, like you have ITIL v3, NIST, you have SP 80053, Rev.1, that is the first version, and then you have TOGAF 8.1, CMMI, capability maturity model with respect to the I framework, that is the integrated framework, and then you have the ITIL, then Prince2, then you have the ISO IEC 17799 and SEI's CMA, that is Software Engineering Institute's capability maturity model. So this level of mapping illustrates the comprehensive nature of the COVID framework, so can be used to explore the relevant components required in a cloud computing environment. So this is basically the framework for cloud computing impact of COVID. You can see there are various factors that are listed, and it's basically a circle. Basically it is a circulation between the information criteria, between the plan and organize. It's also going in, the inputs are going to the acquire and implement, and then it is basically delivery and support, and then you have the monitor and evaluate. The various objectives are written basically that are linked to this. So these are basically the business objectives of the framework. Again, they are very self-explanatory. You can just have a look at it. This is just to give you an idea what impact the COVID has on the cloud computing environment. Right? So the various objectives are listed in the rectangulars or the rectangular box which are specific. So these are the assignments for today. Just have a look at it, and if you have any query you can contact me at the specified email ID. We are done for today. Thank you.